I don't
Hi,
know.
everybody. Welcome to Real Stories of Hurting Moms. So glad to be here with you tonight. I feel like I was just with you because we had our fun Mother's Day giveaway. That was such a good time. I was so grateful to be able to be part of that. But I'm here tonight with my friend Carol. She's a Hurting Moms leader. She's in Wyoming, and where she's going to talk in just a few minutes. We're going to just share with you about some things that we were just talking about and that we have been thinking about and just kind of want to share with you. And so, um, first thing I want to do is tell you, if this is your first time, hi Lisa, if this is your first time to watch, please put that in the comments. Go ahead and write first time. And then also, if you're a long time watcher, if you've been watching a long time, tell us about that too. And also, if you tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing moms watching from all over the US and all over Canada, and it's so wonderful. There's Anne Marie from Knoxville, Tennessee. So go ahead and put that on there. Hi, Nicole. So you can't see any comments. Is that right, Carol?
Right, I can't see.
Darn it! I wish you could. It's always fun to see be able to see the comments. One of the things that I has been on my mind a lot, and I hear this from a lot of moms, and Carol's going to talk about tonight, is how we go along and we feel like maybe our child gets better. Maybe we're praying for a long time that they will get into recovery, or that our relationship with them will be restored, or whatever it is. And for a while things get better and we start relaxing in that. We start feeling like, oh, good, everything's all better. We're good now. We're good to go. And then what I call the other shoe drops. The other shoe drops and something happens and we're just crushed. And this has happened in my life, I know. And one of the things that I noticed is once that happens, once I'm disappointed it's really hard for me to ever get comfortable again. It's like no matter what, no matter how long they have clean or how long, something is going good, I feel like we never quite, or at least I'm just speak for myself. I don't tell me if you're relating to this, ladies, but I never quite feel comfortable again. I don't relax. I feel nervous and anxious and I have that fear. And one of the things Carol and I were talking about was about how really those fears and anxiety we have is because we're making it about us. We're becoming the victim. And so, Carol, I'd love to have you share a little bit, just some of what we were talking about earlier, some of your story, some of your experience of leading a group. Just talk. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, hi, I am from Sheridan, Wyoming. And first of all, I just want to establish that I have 4 children and have a great relationship with two. And one of my sons is estranged from our family. And he is married with 6 children. Those are my 6 grandchildren that I am not able to see. And then I have another son who is the one who brought me to Hurting Moms. Having a son who was using drugs and homeless was, after a while, more than I could bear on my own. And so I don't even remember. I had a friend, Kim Peacock, who shared with me about Hurting Moms. And I went on and watched, and I said, I got to do this. So anyway, that's been a year and a half ago now. And that son of mine is home, and he's sober, clean, maybe not by choice, but I think it is by choice. But as we were talking, even though he is not using any longer, it doesn't mean everything's changed. And so when Kath and I were talking about when waiting for that other shoe to drop, I become suspicious of him. And I really am, I'm in anxiety and watching every little thing he does. And instead of being that mom who, when I went through Hurting Moms, learned how to become steadfast and strong and turn my child over to the Lord, I kind of went backwards and started worrying. And then I'm not even the better self to help my son be his best self. So I found that when he messes up, I take it personally, and it's not it's not my fault, and it isn't about me. And it really is about me and the Lord, and releasing my son to for the Lord to do the work, not me. And it they can get on your nerves, and they can make you cranky and all those things, because they're doing things that you're not agreeing with, even if they're sober. But it doesn't mean that they're healed, and it doesn't mean they have really surrendered their lives. So anyway, that's kind of where I am. And so it was a perfect topic, because he walks around and I'm waiting for him to mess up. And I don't want to be in that role, and I don't want to be under that. It's just not trusting the Lord. And it's kind of going backwards, and I don't want to be there. And so I have to go back and grab hold of those verses, and grab hold of those promises, and grab hold of that trust in the Lord, and surrendering that adult child back to him. And then that's how I gain that strength and get steadfast again. So
That's so true. It's such a big part of it when we, so when we live in that fear and anxiety. I mean, we talk about that in the group. Those emotions, that is not of the Lord, and those are not emotions that He, advocates for us. And so I feel like when we're feeling that way, and it's natural. I mean, of course, it's not natural for us not to feel that way, but if we are focusing on ourselves and making it about us, like you said, that what they're doing is about us, we are not going to ever have peace in the midst of that. And so it's taking our focus off of our child and putting it on the Lord, like you said. And I think another thing, on top of that, of Jesus being able to help us in those times, being in community. I think sharing this pain, don't you think, like, talking about it makes a big difference?
absolutely. And when I went through my first group, when I was and Victoria was my leader, and it was just phenomenal. It was the best thing that ever happened to me personally, going through these situations with my kids. And again, like I said, I have great times and relationships with two of my kids. So if they see this, they know who they are. And the son who's sober, we love them all, but sometimes it's just difficult. But when I was in the group, just being in that daily prayer and praying for other women and moms, and those kids, and not just the word accountability, because sometimes that seems, I don't know, just hard or something, but there was just a push to get right, and
Mm-hmm.
to get free from all this burden. And so the first time I went through it, it was totally freeing for me. And then um as the healing was there, and then my good friend and co-leader Diane and I both said, wow, it's amazing, we got better, and then we're kind of going backwards. So let's start a group. And so we started a group, and we did that group, and then we did another group, which we ended back in right around Christmas. And uh, I am I know I need to be in that community. Like you said, not only is it a safe place, it's an honest place. And I realize there's a ton of moms like me.
Yeah.
And so we encourage each other, but we always encourage the better part of us. And we bring out those verses, and every time it's just what we need, every time. And so we've continued on our small group. We still text each other through Facebook and different iMessage, but I just know that I have to continue, because if I don't, I will hang on to those resentments or those anxieties, and I will not help my son by doing that. And I sure don't help me. And so to be that verse that Cathy, I shared with you, that just
Yeah.
grabbed hold of my heart, the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. When I read that verse that first time when I was in the first group, I that was the verse that grabbed hold of me, and I said, I want to be strong and firm and steadfast. I'm tired of being a victim, tired of being weak, tossed to and fro, all that anxiety. I want to return and be that person. And so that is my continual goal. And to do that, I need to be focused on the Lord, not on me, not on my son, not our woes. And yeah, you just gotta get back. Gotta do what you gotta do.
There's something so, I mean, this sounds weird, but there's something so kind of comforting about knowing that we're not alone. I mean, I'm reading comments right now. I just read there's a comment. Donna says she's going through it right now again, 15 years ago. She said she watches every movie, makes right down to how long he's in the bathroom. Who relates to that? I mean, I do. Just like it's a horrible way to live. It really is. And I love that scripture that you read. I mean, if we can keep our strong, firm, and steadfast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Our sights on that and asking God for that kind of, man, that just makes such a big difference. But the whole thing about being in community, I mean, first of all, we find out we're not alone. That's a
Mm-hmm.
huge thing because we tend to isolate in all this, don't we? I mean, we
Yes.
don't want to tell anybody and we're afraid if we speak the words, it's going to happen. And I mean, we just isolate. And so getting in the community and realizing we're not alone, that's huge. But then also just talking about it, being
Mm-hmm.
able to talk and share in a place where you know you are not being judged. I mean, nobody in Hurting Moms Breaking Free group judges anybody because we're all in there for the same reason. I mean, our situations vary, but we're all hurting over our kids. So don't you think that's a huge part of the healing is talking about it and knowing we're not alone?
You When you are part of a group, that first week or two, everybody's a little tense because they're sharing their story, and it may be the first time they've actually shared the whole story, because a lot of times we don't have the time to talk to somebody for 15, 20 minutes or whatever, so or we don't want to, and so very seldom do we have the time to sit down and really share what's gone on.
Yeah.
And so you can literally see the change and feel the change in the women as they finally get to unburden themselves and say, "This is what's been happening." And then they hear the other woman next to them, "Wow, you understand." And I don't need to go into all the details because you understand. So, yes, it is very freeing. And I thought of something just a minute ago, Kathy. We need to want for us the same freedom we want for our kids. We
Yes.
want our kids to be free from drugs or whatever the struggle is. We want that freedom for them. We need to want that same freedom for us, that we're not living in this battle of an anxiety and worry. And we need that same freedom, that I remember saying to myself, I'm tired of being a victim of this. I am tired of
Yeah.
every time people say, "Well, how's your," and well, yeah, and I thought, no, it's not, no more.
Don't ask.
Yeah, no more. I'm done. And so, and it wasn't that I wanted to just get my son out of, my thoughts. It was a true surrendering. Give him to the Lord. Let the Lord deal with him. He loves him more than me anyway, and he
Absolutely.
has a plan for him. And so, my part is to role model Christian love and to pray and stand back and watch the Lord,
Yeah.
and be that trusting, hoping mom, and then turn around and share with other moms that God
Yeah.
keeps his promises.
I think like that verse where it says after you have suffered a little while, like to us, like here's somebody on here for 15 years she's been
Yes.
suffering like this, and many of us it's been many, many years. But you know what, to God that's a blink of an eye. God's dealing in eternity, so when he says a little while, for us that could be our whole lifetime, but
And the
just
point
have to trust him.
And the point is, Kathy, is he's really saying to us in that verse too, is I don't want you suffering for a long time.
Yeah.
I want you to turn this around.
Yeah.
And so don't, you're going to suffer for a little while, but make it a little while. Let's get through this.
Yeah.
Let's get on board. Enough's enough. Right?
Yeah.
I just remember when I heard that, and I saw the book, and when my book arrived, I was almost too afraid to open it because I thought, oh my God, the burden was so heavy. My son was homeless in Washington and drugs, and it was just a mess, and my heart was broken. And even though I had worked in a church for years, led ministries, when it came to me and my own crushing predicament, I didn't have anybody to really go to. And when I found this group and I found this book that just took me through, each chapter led me through the difficulty and gave me understanding of what was going on and brought me freedom. And so today I reread all the verses again. It's just like, oh man, it's like water for the soul. I'm moved on, and it's been a year and a half. Like I said, he was homeless in Wyoming, in Washington. We drove out and picked him up. Now he's sober. My other son, who is estranged from us, I don't know when that will change.
Yeah.
But I do know God hears prayers and he has a plan.
Yeah.
And so I've experienced that. And now I need to live in that plan that he has for me too, and not be waiting for the shoe to drop.
That's the kind of letting go part. Just for the ladies that are watching, the book that she's talking about is the workbook that we use in the Breaking Free support groups. And we have both local groups around the country, around US and Canada. And then we also have online groups, and we have some coming up. There's always new ones getting ready to start. So there should be a link above this video that talks about groups. You can click there, learn more about groups. Please, ladies, get into a group. That's where the real healing takes place. That's what Carol's talking about. I'm not harping on that over and over for myself. It's because I know it works. So many group leaders tell me, and I've seen this, I've led some of these groups myself, when we start week one and everybody shares their story, everybody's crying and down. I mean, but all the leaders tell me somewhere between week like 3 and 5, they start seeing an amazing transformation in the women in their group. Did you notice that in your groups that you've led?
Completely. It was even visible. I won't say their names. There was one we could literally see a physical difference in her.
Yeah.
There was a peace. There was a joy, because they are finding freedom from the pain.
Yeah.
And even though there's going to be some things they're going to work through, the hope that they start to have, it just lights them up. It is amazing. And one other thing is, even though it was an online group, I was a little cautious, wondering how will I really connect. We connected in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Just like you and I are connecting now, Cathy. And we're
online
a couple of times. And
I feel like you're an old friend. I've known you for a
Yeah.
while, and we meet online. We've never seen each other in person.
No. And the ladies in our group, we just, when the group ends, we were so sad that we kept it going.
Yeah.
So even though it's an online group, and whether you're in the East Coast, West Coast, Alaska, I love hearing that lady from Canada who's sometimes been on her tractor. It's women from all walks of life, and professional women, homebody women, retired women like me, tired women like me.
Tired. We're all tired.
The thing we have in common, I shouldn't say the thing we have in common is we are hurting, and we've been hurt, and we don't know where to go. And I believe the Lord is beckoning us to him to just take that step. And so it's freeing, as you said, breaking free, because it really is. And so if you're out there and you're still thinking, maybe I've watched this before, maybe this is your first time, please, for yourself, for those we're talking about, you don't do it alone. Join a group, and you'll be loved on, and you'll be heard and prayed for. Yeah.
So great. Jean wrote, panic attacks and severe anxiety was her world, and sharing with the group saved her. Is what saved her. I hear that so much. I mean, we just learn. There's something about being in these groups that it's the Lord. I just know that. I've said this many times. I'm not smart enough to have been able to plan this all out and be able to have I did it for myself. When I wrote this, I wrote it because I was in so much pain, and I just had this deep longing to be in community with others who understood my pain. Because I am convinced that nobody other than another hurting mom really understands the pain that we're in. I think I don't know. I don't know if you would agree with that, but I think that's what I.
There is instant camaraderie because we reach each other at a level you don't get to reach with other people, especially if they don't have a hurting child. They'll say, "Oh, but they can't go there with you. But
Yeah,
you get with these moms, and again, the power that of being able to share, and the power of listening.
yeah,
That has transformed me, listening to these women and taking it, praying for them, and just coming alongside them and stuff. So there, it says even in the book, the power of the anxiety diminishes as we speak.
yeah.
And it is absolutely true. And so it's not a one-time fix, but and I call it the tools, but the way the book takes you through the steps, you gain understanding, you get wisdom, and a sisterhood unlike anything you've had. I really believe that, because it's a spiritual sisterhood based on a need, not just for yourself, but for your children too. To know these women know my kids' names and are praying for them.
Pray.
Even I got today, how so and so. And it's like, you remember my son.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
There's something huge in that, is knowing that other women are praying for your child and that you have an opportunity to pray for their child. It's amazing. Again, moms that are watching here, I see somebody saying, "Where do I start? I can't seem to let go." Juanetta, and I can't stress it enough. You guys join a Hurting Moms Breaking Free group, and you can do that by go to our website. There's a link above this video. You can go to the website where it talks about groups, and you can look into an online group. If there's not a group in your area, a local group, join an online group. And I've never had anybody say that they regretted. Nobody that continued on and finished the whole group regretted it. Norma said she used to choose to be engulfed in brokenness and depression and hopelessness, but thanks to other praying moms, encouragement, peace has come, and she now believes that God is not giving up on her son, and neither will she. I love that.
I think that's Norma from my group.
It may be. You know, one of my favorite stories about you is, and maybe you touched on this a little bit already, but how the first time you went through a group, and Diane was in your group with you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so another mom that she met, and Diane is in Indiana, and you're in Wyoming, and they met in an online group, and they decided to co-lead an online group together after that. And I think you've led two together now, right?
Yes.
So they're the best of friends. And now Diane just this week, started a local group in her church. And Carol is just, before we went live tonight, I got her plugged in to start a new online group. Carol's going to start another online group on June 19th. So if you just love Carol and what you're hearing here, and you'd like to be in her group, sign up for the one on June 19th. It's not listed yet, because I just found out about it, so it'll be up there by tomorrow. But anyway, all these moms are talking back and forth to each other. Just that is such a comfort, honestly. I don't know. Even though a lot of what we're sharing, I see they're sharing about their son went back to jail. Another one was stealing his mom's pain medication. I mean, we're sharing all these things, but you know what? We get it, right? We understand it. Nobody else gets it. But when we share like that with each other, we absolutely, we get it. And it's so nice to be understood. It's so nice to know that we're not alone.
When we take at the end of our group time, because we do it just like we're doing now. We're on Skype, or what is it we use? Zoom or something.
We use Zoom. Yeah.
So and we can see each other and talk and stuff. When it comes time to leave, the hardest thing to do is to hang up.
Yeah.
We're all okay, I love you. I'll see you next week, and I'm praying, and it's because, like I said, that there's that camaraderie, that we're not alone. We're in this together, but we're in this together with the Lord. It's not just us under our power trying to change things. it is us realizing God really has a plan and he's going to use this opportunity to change our lives. And
Yep.
it really is an opportunity. And it's kind of like when the Lord speaks and says, okay, time to jump in. Like I did, and I was scared, but I did. In fact, when I got my book, I told you I was almost too scared to do it, but I did it because I knew I was done. I needed help.
Yeah.
And again, there wasn't anybody who was going to be able to listen and understand like our other hurting mom. So Victoria, who was our leader, thank God for her. She let me fumble through it and cry and everything. But again, that verse was the light at the end of the tunnel. Someday I want to be strong, firm, and steadfast in the Lord again.
Yeah.
And I've gotten there, and I'm so thankful because when you're hurting like that, it's even hard sometimes to pray. Sometimes it's hard in the word. You feel so alone and you do isolate. And as women, we need to not do that. And God doesn't want you to do that. He's provided a way.
It's what we it's what we that's why we need each other.
Yeah.
Really, it's why we need each other. And like you said, there are times I can remember getting to times I just couldn't pray anymore. I don't know what to pray. I mean, I've said the same things over and over for years. Nothing's happening. And but when you get into a group or you're connecting with other moms that are hurting and understand, and they're praying for your child.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be days when I couldn't pray and somebody else would pray, and we call it standing in the gap, right?
Yes.
And then there'd be other times when I was in a better place and somebody else's child needed prayer and I could pray for them. There's power in this, ladies. When we all get together and pray, yes, Sharon says strength in numbers. When we pray and we pray for our kids and pray for each other's kids, there is power in that. Don't ever underestimate how much power there is in coming together in community and doing this walk that we never planned on or didn't anticipate, but doing it together.
And the other thing with that too is that we're talking about getting our eyes off ourselves because we have this tendency to, oh, and it's all about me again.
Yeah.
When we are in a group and we are standing in the gap for those children and for those moms, it's one of the first things we do is to get our eyes off of us.
Yeah.
And even though it's still about us because we're going through it, and I don't want to neglect that because that's our time to go through that. But at the same time, we're praying for this other mom who's heartbroken and these kids who are so lost. And it's empowering. And that's where that becoming strong and firm and steadfast again comes because it's not all about me. And I am actually doing what I can do in this difficult time. I can serve the Lord and serve these women by prayer and by listening and being a part of that group. So, yes.
We serve each other. I mean, really, it gives us an opportunity to serve each other. Mm-hmm. So, as usual, the time goes really super, super fast. Yes. Carol, I hope that you'll take a look at the comments and answer some of them. And feel free to encourage these moms. There's a lot of comments. And moms, I can see and they come kind of fast, so I can't respond to every one of them. TJ says, agreed, standing in the gap for each other. I love that. So, ladies, we can't stress it enough. Please, please, please sign up for a Breaking Free group. Get in this community. It's one thing to be on Facebook and comment with each other and watch us talk every week. But when you're actually part of that and going through a real process, you're going through a process, from point A to point B, like a process towards healing. There's nothing like it. It's such a huge relief.
Yes. And one thing, Cathy, this process, this book we do, it's not random. There is a pathway, and that pathway takes you through what you need to understand and to gain that ability to truly release your children to the Lord and to stop being the victim, or you don't want to use the sorrow can begin to stop and the healing can start coming. The shame, the guilt, all of those things. It teaches you how to deal with it. And if you're a hurting mom, there's been shame and there's been guilt, and you need to know how to deal with that in the right way. and not beat yourself up over it. You need freedom from that. And so I encourage you to get in a group.
Absolutely. Karen Ann, just in closing, she said, I learned so much about how the Lord speaks to us through his word and other hurting moms. And that's something that I hear. And it, for me, even when I wrote this, it drew me so close to God. I became so much closer to him. And I hear this over and over. It gives us tools to be able to tap into his strength and his love and his peace. And so, ladies, again, there's a link above the video, and also go to our website, go to hurtingmoms.com, check it out. There's all kinds of tools on there and blogs and videos and resources that'll help you get to a better place. You can sign up for a free
daily devotions.
the free daily word of encouragement. So I just love you all. Again, pray for all of you every day. Carol, thank you so much for being on here with me tonight. It's always
Cathy,
a joy. Huh?
Cathy, thank you. I think about this when we go to get online. You've been doing this for so many years. And I just thank you for keeping to the vision that God has given you and the heart you have. I know, ladies, her heart for hurting moms is real. And what keeps her going is the Lord and you. So
it is. Thank you. That's true. The moms, when I hear these moms talk about getting closer to God or finding peace, or that, I mean, that just like fuels my fire. You know, it's like, all right, we're going to keep going because it's working. So ladies, have a good week. I will be here. Maria says, wow, I realize I'm not alone. That's the big deal. So I'll be back on here next week. I'll be here with Marietta from Canada, and we're going to be talking about the 4 misbeliefs that we have as hurting moms. So Carol, thank you. And I'm looking forward. I'm going to get that group of yours up on the website so these ladies can sign up.
Hope to meet some of you. God bless. Thank you, Cathy. Thank you.
Take care. Good night.
Good night.